Have you ever asked yourself why some people reach their goals while others quit before they even begin? The answer may surprise you, because it's not luck, it's not talent, and it's certainly not always motivation. Most people confuse feeling motivated with making progress. They think they need inspiration to take action. But the truth is far simpler and far more powerful. Discipline beats motivation every single time. Motivation is like the morning sun. It shines bright, warms you, and makes you feel ready to conquer the world. But the moment clouds appear, a rejection, a cold morning, a setback, that sunlight fades. And what happens to your goals when motivation disappears? They disappear too. Motivation is fleeting. Discipline, on the other hand, is steady. Discipline is what keeps you moving when motivation has long gone to sleep. Discipline is what separates those who dream from those who actually achieve. Let me tell you a story. I once met a young man full of fire and ambition. He told me, "I will start my business next Monday. I will wake up early, work hard, and finally change my life." I admired his passion. I even believed in him. But the following Monday, life intervened. His alarm didn't go off. A cold rain fell. A minor setback at work left him drained. By Tuesday, he had postponed again. And by the end of the week, that bright fire had dimmed into frustration and self-judgment. He was waiting for the perfect moment. But perfect moments rarely arrive. The truth is, if you wait for them, you may wait forever. This is why I want to challenge you today. Forget motivation. Forget inspiration. They are unreliable allies. Instead, focus on building the kind of person who acts no matter how they feel. That is the foundation of real, lasting success. It is not about feeling ready. It is about being ready, consistently, every single day. The difference between motivation and discipline. Motivation gives you a push. Discipline builds momentum. Let's break this down. Imagine motivation as the spark, bright, noticeable, but brief. Discipline is the steady flame, the fire that endures rain, wind, and cold nights. Sparks ignite actions, flames sustain them. And it's those sustained actions, day in and day out, that create results. Consider the most successful people you know. Do they wake up every morning brimming with passion? Of course not. They have bad days, just like everyone else. They face setbacks, doubt, and discouragement. But what sets them apart is the simple, quiet choice to show up anyway. They train when tired. They write when uninspired. They call when distracted. They act even when no one is watching. This is what I call quiet persistence. It does not need applause. It does not need validation. It does not need to feel good. It simply does its work, day after day, building a life that speaks for itself. Why consistency is the foundation of success. Consistency is not glamorous. It is not exciting. It does not make for dramatic Instagram posts. But it is the foundation upon which all success is built. Without consistency, even talent and knowledge are wasted. Without daily discipline, dreams fade, ideas vanish, and potential remains just that, potential. Think of it like rolling a snowball down a mountain. The first push seems insignificant. You might even wonder if it is worth the effort. But with each push, the snowball grows. At first, your progress seems invisible, but over time, it accelerates, becomes unstoppable, and carries momentum that cannot be ignored. That snowball is your discipline, and every day you act, it grows a little larger, a little stronger. Now consider this. You may do the right thing today and see no immediate change. That's normal. Transformation is invisible at first. But if you do it again tomorrow, and the next day and the day after, something magical happens. One morning, you wake up and realize you are no longer who you used to be. You have changed, quietly, steadily, sustainably. Start small, build big. Discipline is not a gift. It is a skill, a muscle, and a choice. And like any muscle, it strengthens with consistent use. You don't need to start with monumental efforts. You don't need hours of planning, the perfect environment, or flawless execution. You start small. So small, in fact, that failure is impossible. Read for 5 minutes each morning, journal for 10 minutes. Do one push-up, one page of writing, or one phone call that moves your dream forward. These small actions, repeated daily, build identity. They send a message to your brain, this is who I am. And when repeated enough, your brain begins to believe it. Your identity aligns with your actions. You become the kind of person who succeeds, not because you are lucky, not because you are more talented, but because your habits have transformed you from the inside out. The power of self-trust. Here is a profound truth that few realize. Discipline is not just about actions. It is about trusting yourself. Every time you overcome laziness, every time you keep a promise to yourself, every time you show up even when it is difficult, you are silently proving, I am someone I can rely on. And once you can trust yourself, the game changes. You no longer wait for encouragement from others. You stop depending on moods, feelings, or fleeting inspiration. You become the source of your own drive. You are the force that moves your life forward, no matter the circumstances. Look at successful entrepreneurs, artists, athletes. Their secret is not brilliance at birth, not luck, not perpetual motivation. It is showing up consistently, building trust with themselves, and acting even when it is uncomfortable. Discipline becomes their identity. And when identity aligns with action, results are inevitable. Overcoming excuses and resistance. Resistance will come. Life will push back. You will feel tired, distracted, or overwhelmed. That is natural. But discipline teaches you to push forward despite it. Small actions reduce resistance. Start with just 5 minutes. Commit to doing something, anything, for that small window. Often, once you begin, momentum carries you far beyond that initial effort. And remember, you don't need to be perfect. You will fail. You will slip. That is not the failure, that is life. True failure is never getting back up. Every time you rise after a slip, you are strengthening the habit of discipline. Every time you return to action, you are training your future self. You are proving day by day that you are reliable, committed, and capable. Throughout this video, I will pause with questions and reflections to keep your mind active. If you could trust yourself completely, what would you do today? How many times have you waited for the perfect moment only to watch it pass? If you acted for just 5 minutes, what could begin to change in your life? These are not rhetorical. They are invitations to participate. Real change happens when your mind is engaged, when your attention is active, and when your thoughts are aligned with your actions. The law of daily discipline. Welcome back. If you joined me in part 1, you already know the truth. Motivation fades, inspiration is unreliable, and discipline is the real engine behind lasting success. But discipline doesn't just appear out of nowhere. It is cultivated, it is trained. And like any skill, it is developed through repetition, structure, and smart strategy. In this part, we're going to uncover what I call the law of daily discipline. Follow it closely, and you'll begin to see how effortless success becomes when it is no longer a matter of chance, but a matter of habit. Why systems trump willpower. Most people believe they need iron willpower to succeed. They think, I'll just push harder, resist temptation, and eventually I'll reach my goal. But willpower is finite. It gets exhausted. That's why even the most motivated people sometimes fail after a long, stressful day. The solution is not brute force. The solution is systems. Systems remove the need to rely on feelings, mood, or luck. They make discipline automatic. Jim Rohn often said, discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. But that bridge only works if it is built strong, one plank at a time, every day. Let me illustrate with a story. Napoleon Hill, the author of Think and Grow Rich, spent over 25 years interviewing the most successful people of his time. He discovered that they didn't rely on bursts of motivation. They had routines, habits, and systems that protected their focus. Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, Andrew Carnegie, all of them had daily rituals that disciplined their time, their energy, and their priorities. These systems created results, often invisibly, until one day the accumulation of small actions became unstoppable momentum. The power of daily rituals. A ritual is a simple, repeated action that directs your day, your energy, and your mind. It doesn't need to be complicated. In fact, the simpler it is, the better. Consider these examples. Waking up at the same time every morning, even before motivation hits. Writing down 3 priorities for the day, every single day. Spending 30 minutes reading, reflecting, or learning something new. Doing one physical exercise, no matter how small, to signal action to your brain. Each ritual is like a brick. Alone, it might seem small, almost meaningless. But when stacked day after day, week after week, it creates the foundation for monumental change. This is the essence of discipline in motion. Environment as your silent ally. Here is something most people overlook. Your environment shapes your discipline more than your willpower ever could. If your phone is constantly in reach, notifications buzzing every minute, your brain will default to distraction. If your workspace is cluttered, your energy will scatter. Discipline is easier when you design your environment to support it. Jim Rohn often emphasized this principle. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And I would add, your environment, physical and digital, has the same influence. Some practical ways to design your environment for success. Turn off notifications that aren't urgent. Remove distractions from your workspace. Keep tools and resources for your goals within reach. Surround yourself with people who take action, who hold themselves accountable, and who inspire you to stay consistent. The key is to remove resistance before it even appears. The easier it is to act, the more likely your discipline will stick. Breaking goals into micro-actions. Big goals can be paralyzing. Writing a book, launching a business, getting in shape, all of these can feel overwhelming. That's where micro-actions come in. Instead of focusing on the mountain, focus on the first step, the smallest possible action that moves you forward. Want to write a book? Start with 100 words a day. Want to exercise consistently? Start with 5 push-ups each morning. Want to grow a business? Make 1 call, send 1 email, or brainstorm 1 idea. These micro-actions do something remarkable. They reduce mental resistance, build momentum, and train your identity. Each small win reinforces your self-trust. I am someone who acts. I am reliable. I follow through. And momentum, once built, becomes unstoppable. The 2-minute rule. Here's a simple yet powerful strategy used by top performers, the 2-minute rule. If a task can be done in 2 minutes or less, do it immediately. This eliminates procrastination before it starts. If a task feels overwhelming, break it into 2-minute segments. Commit only to starting. Often starting is the hardest part. Once you take that first step, momentum carries you far beyond 2 minutes. Think about it. Your brain is wired to resist what seems too big. But when you shrink the task to a manageable chunk, resistance disappears. You've just turned discipline into a low-friction habit. Accountability multiplies discipline. Even the most disciplined person struggles without accountability. It's one thing to commit to yourself, it's another to commit to someone else. When someone is counting on you, your brain behaves differently. You show up, you push forward, you finish what you started. Simple ways to implement accountability. Share your goals with a friend or mentor. Schedule regular check-ins to report progress. Join a community of action takers. Publicly commit to small daily actions. When accountability is present, procrastination loses power and consistency becomes inevitable. The secret of compound effort. Here's a principle few people understand. Effort compounds over time. Doing one small action today might seem insignificant. Doing the same small action tomorrow might feel like nothing. But repeated consistently, it becomes unstoppable. Compound effort is invisible at first, but it works silently, quietly, until the results overwhelm your expectations. Napoleon Hill called this the law of accumulation. Every bit of discipline you practice builds upon the last. Every action strengthens your identity. Every day you show up, you compound the power of your future success. Think about it like planting seeds. Watering one seed today won't make a tree appear tomorrow. But day after day, week after week, that seed grows roots, sprouts leaves, and eventually becomes a mighty oak. That oak didn't appear by magic. It grew through disciplined, consistent care. To keep you engaged, reflect on these questions as we move forward. What small action could you take today that will matter a year from now? If you acted consistently for just 5 minutes every day, where would you be in 6 months? How could your environment be working for you, not against you? These reflections are essential. True learning doesn't happen passively. Real growth happens when your mind is activated, when your brain begins to connect principles to action. Mastering mindset and overcoming procrastination. Welcome to part 3. If you've been following along, you already understand the power of consistency, the importance of daily discipline, and how small actions compound into monumental results. But there's one invisible force that silently sabotages almost everyone's success. Procrastination. Procrastination is sneaky. It doesn't announce itself. It whispers, "Later, it's okay, you can start tomorrow." It thrives in your brain's natural desire for comfort and avoidance of discomfort. And here is the truth. Procrastination is not laziness. It's fear disguised as delay. Why we procrastinate? Your brain is wired to avoid pain and seek pleasure. Big goals, unfamiliar actions, or challenging tasks trigger discomfort. Your mind reacts instinctively, finding shortcuts to escape, scrolling your phone, watching random videos, snacking, or doing busy work instead of important tasks. These behaviors aren't weaknesses. They are your brain's defense mechanisms, and if you want to succeed, you must train your brain to act despite discomfort. The illusion of "I need more time." How many times have you said, "I'll start tomorrow. I just need to prepare a little more. Next week will be better." These are all forms of procrastination dressed in excuses. The problem is that someday rarely comes. You don't need more time. You need action, starting right now with what you have. Think about it like this. Imagine two people with the same goal. One waits for perfect conditions, the other starts with what's available. A month later, who is ahead? The one who acted. Momentum compounds faster than preparation, the perfection trap. Another silent killer of success is perfectionism. You may think you're being meticulous, careful, or high standard, but perfectionism often hides fear of failure. You hesitate because it might not be good enough. You postpone because the conditions aren't ideal. You delay because you're waiting for the perfect plan, the perfect time, or the perfect skill. Here's the hard truth. Nothing excellent is ever born perfect on the first try. Every master was once a beginner. Every successful person made mistakes, learned, adjusted, and repeated. Progress beats perfection. Done is better than perfect. Every action, even flawed, teaches, grows, and compounds. Start small, win big. When facing procrastination, the first step is reducing resistance. Don't tackle the entire mountain at once. Focus on micro actions, just like we discussed in part 2. 5 minutes of writing, 10 minutes of exercise, making one phone call or sending one email. By starting small, your brain is tricked into action. Once you begin, momentum carries you far beyond the initial effort. The secret is, action precedes motivation. Motivation follows action, not the other way around. The 2-minute rule, a procrastination crusher. Jim Rohn often emphasized that discipline is like a muscle. To build it, you must start simple. Here's a proven technique. If a task takes less than 2 minutes, do it immediately. If a task feels too big, break it into 2-minute segments. The beauty of this rule is that starting becomes automatic. Your brain no longer debates whether the task is too big. You start, you act, and momentum does the rest. The role of environment. In part 2, we touched on environment, but let's go deeper. Your surroundings either fuel your success or feed your procrastination. Are your devices distracting you constantly? Remove them. Is your workspace cluttered and chaotic? Clean it. Are you around people who procrastinate? Distance yourself. Are you surrounded by action takers, learners, or doers? Immerse yourself there. Jim Rohn said, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." But I'll add, your environment amplifies or diminishes your discipline. Control it, design it, let it work for you. Artificial deadlines and urgency. One of the most effective ways to overcome procrastination is to create urgency. Our brains respond to deadlines. Without them, we feel infinite time and delay action. Set specific deadlines for every task. Treat them like non-negotiable appointments. Share your deadlines with someone for accountability. Suddenly, tasks that once felt overwhelming become actionable. Your brain no longer debates. You act. Accountability, a secret multiplier. Even the strongest discipline is amplified when someone else is watching or counting on you. Share your goals publicly. Schedule check-ins with a mentor or friend. Join a community of action takers. Accountability transforms abstract goals into concrete commitments. It doubles the chances you'll follow through. Visualizing consequences and rewards. Another technique is to imagine the consequences of inaction and the rewards of action. What will your life look like in a year if you keep delaying? What will happen if you take action today? When you picture the negative outcomes, your brain senses urgency. When you picture the rewards, your brain is motivated to act. The combination of fear of loss and desire for gain creates unstoppable momentum. Trusting yourself, the core of discipline. Every small action you take against procrastination builds trust with yourself. You show yourself you are capable. You prove you can follow through. You reinforce the belief, I am someone who acts even when it's hard. This trust is invisible, yet it's one of the most valuable assets for long-term success. Building long-term habits and transforming discipline into identity. Welcome to part 4. If you've been following along, by now you understand the power of consistency, the importance of daily micro-actions, and how to overcome procrastination and perfectionism. But there's a critical step that separates temporary progress from lasting transformation, turning disciplined actions into habits and habits into identity. Jim Rohn said it best, discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. But let's take it further. Discipline is not just a bridge. Discipline becomes the very foundation of who you are. Why habits are the true power behind success. Consistency alone creates results, but without habit formation, results often fade when motivation or circumstances change. A habit is a behavior so ingrained that it happens automatically, without relying on willpower. Here's the secret. Your brain loves efficiency. Once an action becomes a habit, it stops being a struggle. You no longer need to convince yourself to act, you just do it. Drinking water every morning, journaling for 10 minutes daily, writing, exercising, or making calls consistently. These small, repeated actions eventually define your identity. You stop thinking, I should do this. Instead, you naturally act because this is who you are. The identity loop: action, belief, reinforcement. To create lasting success, focus on identity-based habits, not outcome-based goals. Let me explain. Action. You start with a small, consistent action. Belief. Repeating that action sends a message to your brain: this is who I am. Reinforcement. As your identity shifts, the action becomes effortless and your behaviors align naturally with your new identity. For example, if you want to become a disciplined writer, don't just aim to finish a book. Write daily, even for 10 minutes. Over time, you start thinking of yourself as a writer. Your identity drives your actions. If you want to become fit, start with small workouts daily. Over time, you become the type of person who exercises, not just someone chasing a goal. Start small, grow big. As we emphasized before, don't start with massive routines. Massive routines create resistance and overwhelm. Instead, start small enough that you cannot fail. Commit to tiny actions that require minimal effort. Focus on repeating them daily, even if imperfectly. Remember, momentum is built by action, not motivation. Every day you show up, you reinforce your new identity. Every day you skip, you weaken it. The compound effect of daily actions. Jim Rohn and Napoleon Hill both taught about the power of compound growth. Small, consistent actions may seem insignificant at first, but over months and years, they compound into extraordinary results. Think of it like planting seeds. Water a seed once, it won't grow immediately. Water it consistently every day. Roots take hold, sprouts emerge, and eventually it becomes a tree. Your daily actions are the seeds of your future success. Discipline is the water, patience is the sunlight, and your habits are the roots that will sustain you for a lifetime. Overcoming the habit plateau. Even when habits are formed, many people hit a plateau. They wonder, why am I not seeing faster results? Am I doing this wrong? Here's the truth. True transformation is quiet and incremental. Change doesn't always feel dramatic. Often it's silent, slow, and steady, just like a river carving a canyon. Focus on your daily routine, not immediate results. Celebrate small victories. Finishing your daily habit is a win. Trust the process. Eventually, your results will reflect your consistent effort. Identity-based discipline in action. Here's how to turn discipline into identity. Choose your core values. Decide who you want to become. Define small daily actions. Align your actions with that identity. Commit to repetition. Perform your habits daily without excuses. Reinforce your identity. Every action is proof that you are who you say you are. Adapt. Don't quit. Miss a day. Adjust. Keep going. Identity is built over time, not in perfection. Examples: want to be a disciplined entrepreneur? Call one potential client daily, every day, without fail. Want to be healthier? Do a 5-minute morning workout consistently. Want to grow intellectually? Read a page of a book daily. Over time, these small commitments define you, not just your goals. Using accountability to strengthen habits. Accountability continues to play a critical role in Part 4. Habits become far more resilient when others expect action from you. Join a mastermind group or peer community. Track your progress publicly. Share your wins and struggles honestly. External accountability turns private habits into visible commitments, which are easier to maintain and harder to break. The Jim Rohn principle: you become your habits. Jim Rohn's teaching is clear. You cannot change your destination overnight, but you can change your direction overnight. Your habits determine your direction. Your daily discipline defines your trajectory. Your identity fuels your persistence. When discipline becomes habit and habit becomes identity, success is no longer optional. It's inevitable. Practical daily routine for habit transformation. To make this concrete, here's a simple framework to embed discipline into your identity. Morning ritual: 5 to 15 minutes. Meditation, journaling, or reading to set mindset. Core action blocks. Perform the smallest consistent action toward your major goal. Evening reflection. 5 to 10 minutes. Review what you did, acknowledge wins, and plan tomorrow's micro actions. Weekly review. Adjust and reinforce your progress. Celebrate consistency, not just outcomes. Sustaining momentum and becoming unstoppable. Welcome to the final part of our journey. If you've made it this far, you've already learned about consistency, micro actions, overcoming procrastination, and turning discipline into identity. Now it is time to address the most important question. How do you sustain momentum when life gets hard, and how do you become unstoppable? Success isn't a one-time achievement. It's a lifestyle, a constant process of showing up, refining, and growing. This is where most people fail, not because they lack talent, intelligence, or opportunity, but because they stop moving forward when the first obstacle appears. Momentum, the fuel of long-term success. Momentum is the invisible force that carries you forward. It's built by consistent daily action, reinforced by identity, and strengthened by accountability. Think of momentum like pushing a heavy boulder. On the first day, it barely moves. On the second day, it rolls a few feet. Each day of continuous effort adds more speed and power. Soon, the boulder moves on its own. Momentum compounds just like your habits, but momentum requires maintenance. Stop pushing for even a single day, and the boulder slows. Stop for a week, and you've lost valuable ground. Overcoming setbacks. How the unstoppable respond. Setbacks are inevitable. Even the most disciplined, consistent people face challenges. A failed project, financial loss, health issues, personal rejection. The difference is how they respond. Acceptance. Recognize setbacks as part of the journey. They are not the end, but a lesson. Reflection. Analyze what went wrong. Identify the adjustment needed, not the excuse. Action. Take immediate small steps to regain momentum. Remember, it's not the setback that defines you, but your recovery. Jim Rohn said, "Discipline is doing what you know needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it." In setbacks, discipline is what gets you back on track. Visualization and future self. One of the most powerful tools for sustaining momentum is connecting with your future self. Close your eyes and imagine the person you want to become. See them achieving their goals, living with purpose, and handling challenges with grace. Every disciplined action you take today is a step toward that future self. By visualizing your future self daily, you strengthen identity-based habits and create emotional drive that reinforces consistency. Daily rituals for unstoppable momentum. To make discipline unstoppable, integrate these daily rituals into your life. Morning focus. Begin each day with intention. Journal, meditate, or set your top 3 priorities. Action blocks. Complete the smallest, most critical task immediately. Momentum builds from small wins. Reflection and adjustment. End your day reviewing progress, celebrating wins, and noting lessons learned. Weekly reset. Analyze your week, reinforce accountability, and prepare for the week ahead. Continuous learning. Read, watch, or listen to materials that reinforce growth and mindset. These rituals ensure momentum never dies, even when external motivation fades. Stories of unstoppable people. History is full of people who became unstoppable because they cultivated discipline as a habit. Napoleon Hill, who spent decades studying the most successful individuals, discovered that all shared relentless discipline and a daily practice of consistent action. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb, but his daily persistence made success inevitable. Jim Rohn himself built a life of impact by daily habits of study, teaching, and reflection, proving that small, consistent steps compound into greatness. These examples show that success is rarely flashy or sudden, but rather the result of patient, disciplined effort over time. Accountability and support systems. No one becomes unstoppable alone. Surround yourself with people who push you to take action, celebrate your wins, challenge your excuses, hold you accountable. Your environment amplifies your habits. If you're around procrastinators or negative energy, even your best efforts will struggle. If you immerse yourself in action-oriented, growth-focused communities, discipline becomes contagious. Overcoming mental resistance. Even with momentum, you'll face mental resistance. I'm too tired. I'll start tomorrow. I'm not ready yet. The antidote is micro-action and immediate action. Commit to just 5 minutes. Take the first step, even imperfectly. Momentum will naturally carry you further. This is the principle Jim Rohn taught. Motivation follows action, not the other way around. Celebrating the journey, not just the outcome. Discipline and momentum aren't about obsession with results. They're about becoming the type of person who takes action no matter what. Celebrate. Every day you show up, every time you overcome resistance, every small victory toward your identity, this builds intrinsic motivation, which is far stronger and more sustainable than fleeting external motivation. You are unstoppable. Let's make this clear. Success is not for the lucky or the gifted. Success is for the disciplined. Success is for those who show up day after day in action and in identity. If you take what you've learned in parts 1 to 4 and apply it daily, you will overcome procrastination. You will transform habits into identity. You will build momentum that can't be stopped. You will achieve goals others only dream about. Remember, life doesn't reward those who start. It rewards those who persist, those who stay disciplined, and those who refuse to quit. This is your moment, your choice, your commitment. Decide today that discipline will become your default. Decide today that action will define you, not excuses. Decide today that you will become unstoppable. And once you do, nothing, no obstacle, no fear, no setback, can stop the person you've become. Comment below, what daily habit will you start today to transform your identity? Share this video with someone who needs a push to become disciplined. Bookmark this video to revisit whenever motivation fades. Discipline will carry you through. Jim Rohn taught us that success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. Apply them, persist, stay consistent, and watch as your life transforms in ways you never imagined. If you've made it this far, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Rate this video from 1 to 10 in the comments and let us know what you think of the content. Your feedback is essential for us to keep bringing you useful and relevant information. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.